BC News.
You want a business you can trust with a name you can trust to work on your vehicle. Think AMCO Transmissions and Total Car Care in North Logan. They have the experience to get your vehicle in and out quickly, diagnosed, and fixed right at the most affordable cost. AMCO, 75 East, 2000 North in North Logan. And hey, if you're a mechanic, AMCO is hiring. Come start your career for that same great national name and enjoy your new career. Apply today.
AA MCO.
Have you ever dreamed of waking up with 20/20 vision? You can make that dream come true with laser vision correction at Monson Vision in Logan. Dr. Brian Monson has successfully performed thousands of LASIK procedures and is one of the most skilled and experienced eye surgeons anywhere. And due to new advancements, you may be a candidate for LASIK, even if you were told otherwise before. Quality, safety, and results. Special financing options available. Visit MonsonVision.com to schedule a complimentary consultation.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
The following is a paid program of commercial time on KVNU. The information, offers, and claims are solely those of the sponsor and not the opinions of this station, its affiliates, management, or employees. It's time for the Garden Guide with your host, Mark Anderson from Anderson Seed and Garden.
New research suggests that people are more likely to eat vegetables if they have a tempting name.
What would life be without homegrown tomatoes? Only two things that money can't buy, and that's true love and homegrown tomatoes.
From gardening to landscaping.
Today we are going to try and create garden eyebrows. Kind of like the flowers are sprouting directly from your hair. That makes sense.
Phone lines are open at 753-KVNU or 800-369-KVNU.
Kind of like eating vegetables.
It's the Garden Guide, now on KVNU 610 AM and 102 FM.
Good morning and welcome to the Garden Guide. This is Mark Anderson with Anderson Seed and Garden, and we're here to answer your questions and hopefully help you find some solutions for your garden right now. Seems like there's a lot of bugs showing up and kind of taking over people's yards, whether it's the the elm seed beetles or the grasshoppers, but things are starting to come out of the garden as well too, so it's not too bad. We're starting to harvest. I see a lot of things happening over the gardener's market this morning on the way down, so everybody's out there setting up and getting things ready.
It's exciting.
It is kind of exciting, and it's warm, but it's not unseasonably warm. You know, for the 1st of July, it's supposed to be in the in the low 90s.
It's a good way to put it, Mark. Yeah. It's not unnatural to be warm like this.
Yeah, it's like first part of July. You know, it's kind of supposed to be 90 degrees. So I guess, yeah, that's better than 100. Yeah,
we're getting close.
It was a little hot, it was a little hot in June, but everybody needs to remember it was unseasonably cold in May as well too. So we had a really cold May, and then we followed by a really hot June. So average July would be nice.
Yeah, that would be the
average
thing, right?
July would be great. Yes, and hopefully we'll get some storms rolling in here one of these days as well too. My garden's growing like crazy, but it's kind of dry in some spots.
Yeah, I believe it.
In between the rows where I'm not watering, it's pretty dusty.
Yeah,
but those weeds still continue to grow.
It's amazing how they do that.
It is
right?
crazy. Yeah, they seem to find some water somewhere, and so I've got lots of weeds to talk about as well. Here on the Garden Guide. So we can talk bugs, we can talk weeds. I've seen a lot of iron chlorosis in plants, so we're seeing a lot of iron deficiency, and we're also seeing some plants that are struggling just from lack of nutrient and lack of water, so there's some things we can talk about there as well too. And like I said, weeds are popping up like crazy, grasshoppers, aphids, raspberry cane borer. Man, I've seen a lot of samples of raspberry cane borer, so we're seeing a lot of damage on the raspberries right now just before you can pick. So there are some great options out there to try and get some of these insects and weeds and things under control before they get too far gone, I guess, is the best way to describe it. So a lot of things happening at Anderson's this weekend. So just a reminder, we are closing early today for the holiday. We've got some plans for later this afternoon. So we'll be open until 2 o'clock at Anderson's today. So make sure and come in and see us this morning while it's cooler. Come in if you need to get some plants, or if you want to plant a tree for the weekend, or some shrubs. I've got beautiful roses still. And I've got a really great selection of shrubs in stock right now, and they look really, really good right now as well too, despite the heat. We've been taking care of those. And so we do have some items on sale. We're going to do something a little special for today. So we do have a few annuals left, annual flowers. We're going to do those at 75% off regular price today. And we do have a few vegetables left as well too. And, it's the 1st of July. They're looking a little sad, so it's time for them to find a home. So if you would like to take advantage of our annual and vegetable sale, we're going to put those on sale for 75% off today. So it's a great time to come in and pick up a few things that we have left over still, but there's not a lot. And then last weekend we did buy one, get one for half price on the perennials, and we're going to do that again this morning as well too. So buy one, get one half price on perennial flowers at Anderson Seed and Garden. 75% off annuals and vegetables. So there is a difference between the annual flowers and the perennials. So just so you know, 75% off on those. And a lot of other great things going on at Anderson's as well, too. So it's a great time to come in and see us. And just remember that we are closing at 2 o'clock this afternoon, so we're not going to be open all day. So we're going to close a little bit early for the holidays, and we will be closed, we'll be closed on Monday as well, too. So we'll be closed Monday for the official holiday, I guess. But with the cruise in going this weekend,
so many good things.
Fireworks, there's all kinds of stuff going on.
So many good things.
All kinds of stuff going on tonight. So,
Mark, do you know what kind of vegetables you have left in stock?
You know what? There are a few squash and I don't think there's any pumpkins left, but I think there's a few squash left. I know there's tomatoes and peppers. So we've got some tomatoes and peppers left, and I don't think there's any cucumbers. But I started some cucumbers myself, and they were up in like 3 days. And in a week, they're ready to transplant outside. So it does not take very long to get those going. And the same with squashes. So if you want to do some more summer squash, or if you want to do some winter squashes or pumpkins, there's plenty of time to get those going. You can get those started from seed, transplant those out, and they will produce for you without too much trouble. So if you'd like to join us on the Garden Guide, you're welcome to call in with questions or comments. 753-5868, 753-KVNU, or 1-800-369-5868. We've got phone lines open, and we'd love to have you call in with questions or comments or things that are causing problems in your yard. We can maybe help you find a solution. So what we've been seeing so far is it's time to pick cherries, and birds are going nuts on the cherries. And so you can definitely cover those up with net if you want to keep the birds off. Do have a couple repellents you can use, and some flashing tape and different sonic repellents for the birds to keep those out of the trees. And they actually do a pretty good job, but they don't do anything for the cherry fruit flies, which come and lay eggs on the cherries. And then all of a sudden you have a little extra protein, little tiny white worms inside the cherries, which make them less than desirable to eat. So we've been seeing a little bit of damage on the cherries so far between the birds and the cherry fruit flies. So that's definitely something that you can get under control by spraying at the right time. So with the cherries, you got to spray them just as they're starting to color up. So we did some spraying right as the cherries were starting to turn pink. So they were showing a little bit of coral color on the fruit, and we did some spraying and have had very good results on some of our trees, not so good results on a few of our other trees. So we've had a few cherry fruit flies in there. So I think we were a little slow getting that Royal Anne cherry sprayed. So not fun to pop open the cherries and find little worms in there.
No, probably not. It's a surprise that you don't really want.
A surprise that nobody really wants. That's right.
No.
Except for the birds.
Yeah, I guess.
The birds really like them.
Extra protein for them.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
They can have that one, I guess.
So we do have phone lines open, 753-5868, 753-KVNU, and we would love to have you call in and visit with us here on the Garden Guide. But we do have a caller right now.
Yes,
Cody.
we do. We're honored to have Todd on the line here. He's got some questions for you.
Sounds great. Good morning, Todd. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Good morning, Mark.
You're going to start things off with the first phone call, huh?
I guess so. There's no prizes involved, so
no prizes today, except the information that you're getting from Mark. So
that's even better. Hey, I got a couple of questions. First of all, how effective are the ladybugs compared to spraying for aphids?
The ladybugs don't work as quickly as a topical spray would, or a systemic spray, but they do a very, very good job. And so we have seen so many aphids this year. So to balance that out, we've seen a lot of ladybugs also, lots and lots and lots. So I've had many, many customers bringing in samples of ladybug larvae, and they didn't know how to identify them, and there were actually ladybugs out there eating their aphids like crazy. So it takes longer. So if you have a tree that's covered with aphids and you release the ladybugs, probably a couple weeks to really get them cleaned up, but they will eat every single aphid on that tree.
Okay, because we're starting to see the effects on our roses.
Oh, yeah.
And I just wanted a quick fix like I always do with a lot of things.
Yes. So the ladybugs will do a great job. The roses are smaller, and so you don't need as many ladybugs to clean those up. But if you've got a good-sized maple tree, it can take a while. And the containers of ladybugs that we've got are there's 500 in a container.
That would take just half my lawn.
You'd be surprised how many aphids 500 can eat. They'll eat up to 50 each a day.
Wow.
Yeah, and so you're talking 2,500 aphids a day. Those 500 ladybugs will eat. Yeah, and we do
it. Just so the ladybugs are good. The benefit of it, right?
Beneficial insects, and so they will not do any damage to any plants. They just eat aphids like crazy. I do have lacewings too. Lacewings will eat the aphids as well as a lot of other insects, and so lacewings are nice to have as well too.
So does the lacewings take as long as the ladybugs? Do that too.
They can only eat so much, Todd, and then they have to take a break. So
I know. I wish I could take a break while I'm eating. But anyway.
So the best way to control the aphids on your roses without hurting your beneficial insects would be to use a systemic insecticide on them. And so, if you use a fertilizer with a systemic in it, then the insecticide will be inside the plant, and it only kills the insects that attack the plant. It doesn't bother the ones that land on the plant. So it won't hurt bees, and it won't hurt ladybugs, and it won't hurt praying mantids because they're out.
Would that be the 3-in-1?
Yes, the 3-in-1 would do a great job. So any of the rose food with a systemic, the 3-in-1 has a disease control as well as an insecticide and a fertilizer in there. So those would be some great options to get the aphids under control quicker on your roses.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you for answering that one.
You're so welcome.
Now I've got a tougher question for you.
I'm ready.
Okay, our raised beds are down to ground level, and my wife wants to raise them up so we don't have to get down on the ground and weed.
Right.
How would you go about raising those up?
How deep are the raised beds currently?
They're about 12 inches.
They're 12 inches. How tall would you like them to be eventually?
Eventually, we want to have them waist high so we don't have to bend very.
So like 3 feet.
Yeah.
3 feet would be adequate.
All
right. Well, there's two different ways you can do that. One, you can just keep adding 12-inch layers to it, and so you could build them up another 24 inches. And you don't have to put great soil all the way through. What I would probably do is take the good soil that you've got out of the 24-inch ones, and then add 2 feet to them, or possibly more if you want to make them like 42 inches. And then you could put lightweight, well-drained product down in the bottom, like bark. Bark is excellent, and it's not very expensive. And so you could fill those up with bark down in the bottom for the first 2 feet or so, and then have 14 or 16 inches of soil on top of that. And so that would be easy. The other way you could do it is put them on legs, but then the legs have to be sturdy enough to be able to hold the weight of the soil in the water.
I've seen those. I've seen a lot of those around town.
Yeah. It's difficult to get enough soil in there that really is going to grow great vegetables that high off the ground, and then have the air circulating through. I mean, you can definitely do it, but it would be better to raise your raised beds so that they're taller. By adding layers instead of putting legs on them.
Okay, so I was just trying to get your handyman side of you.
Yeah.
Trying to figure that out.
So if you're doing like the raised beds we've got at Anderson's are made out of concrete blocks.
Yeah.
And those would be very easy to add layers to. And you can link those together with a little bit of rebar, a little bit of concrete adhesive, and you could keep those very intact and solid and very sturdy without them bulging at the sides if your soil starts to get a little bit too heavy. But with say a redwood or a cedar one, over time the wood's going to deteriorate, and then you've got to have them strong enough so that the legs can support the weight of whatever you're growing in there, so they become much more problematic.
We're starting to see some decay.
Yeah.
With the wood, so
yeah. I really like the concrete block ones. They are quite amazing and easy to set up, and if you sell your house and move, you can just gather them up and move them to a different location, and you can always add layers to them over time. So
okay, and how much are those? How much are those?
They're 8.5 by 5.5. They are custom made, and so we can get them in any color that you want. They come in about 8 different colors, and they are 16 inches tall, and they run $149.
Okay.
You can't buy the wood for that much right now.
I know wood's expensive.
Yeah, if you bought the redwood for that size container, I'll bet you'd spend $200 to $250 right now just for the wood before you even put them together.
And that, really. Okay. That sounds logical.
Yeah.
All right, maybe I'll look into that and try to convince my wife that we need that instead of building the wood ones.
Yeah, the wood's going to deteriorate over time, and these concrete block ones, they'll last 30 years without doing anything to them. You don't have to seal them. You don't have to paint them. They're solid colors all the way through.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that answers my question.
I hope so, Todd.
Yeah, other than the Cruise and Parade's not going down center this year, is it?
I have no idea, but I would suspect that they are definitely going down Main Street, as I've seen chairs and vehicles already out there. So,
of course, of course. All right.
Okay.
Well, thanks for taking my questions. And
yep.
Sorry for the babble. I like to babble.
No problem, Todd. No problem.
All right. Well, you have a great weekend.
You too, and
great holiday.
Happy 4th. Yes, happy 4th, and thanks for calling this morning,
Cody.
Todd.
Hey, thanks, Todd.
You're welcome.
It's going to go down Main Street and Center Street to 1400 North today. So
it's going to be on Center.
Yep, from Main Street from Center Street to 1400 North. So there you go.
So they'll probably.
So, thank you.
You're welcome,
Mr. Cody, the efficient information
official.
I try my best.
All right.
All right. Thanks,
All right.
Todd.
Well, Mark, that's it. I'm going to hang up now, but we still need to get together.
Yes, we could do that for sure.
And I'm free most of the summer. No more vacays.
All right, that sounds great. We will set something up.
I'll let you go so you can have other callers.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
Thanks, Todd. All right, if you would like to call in with your questions or comments, 753-5868, 753-KVNU, or 1-800-369-5868. So we're starting to harvest all kinds of things out of our garden right now. We had kohlrabi this week. We've got onions that are ready to go. We've got beets and beet greens and chard that are going crazy. Normally we have like spinach and lettuce that's just about gone by now, but we didn't plant those this year. But our peas just did not do very well, and I've heard that from a lot of different people, and I think it just turned too hot too fast, and the peas were looking great, and then all of a sudden they just dried up and didn't do hardly anything. So they did produce, but it wasn't anything to write home about. So if you had the same problem with the peas, let me know. It had nothing to do with the varieties. We had multiple varieties that we were growing, and all of them did the same thing. And I think it just was kind of a combination of the weather and the heat, the dry soil, and the peas just did not like that very much. So, but otherwise, we're starting to harvest all kinds of things. I've got flowers on my zucchinis. I've got tomatoes set. I've got peppers on my peppers, and the potatoes are like really, really close. They're starting to bloom, so we could probably start harvesting potatoes here pretty soon. So, Cody, looks like we've got callers.
Yes, we do. We have 2 callers on. The first one here is Bruce.
All right. Good morning, Bruce. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Good morning. By the way, I had a good crop of peas already.
Oh, good. So. I'm glad your peas did well. Mine were the pits this year. So
mine weren't very good either.
Okay, but I'm concerned about the little grasshoppers that are showing up.
Yes.
And we have some real high-powered malathion and that sort of thing. But
yes,
what's the best way to curb the grasshoppers and still preserve my vegetables?
Yes. There are some very safe alternatives to use that will knock the grasshoppers down at different stages in their lives. The malathion is actually a very good option. Malathion is safe to use on almost all your vegetables up to about 1 to 3 days before you're going to harvest. And so malathion been used for many, many, many years, quite safely on all kinds of vegetables. If you wanted to go with something that's even a little bit safer, the new formulation of 7 is very mild for people and very low toxicity for people and pets, but very effective on the insects. And so even as the grasshoppers get bigger and harder to control, that new formula of 7, the active ingredient in there is zeta-cypermethrin. You can use it right up to the day before you harvest. So on most things, it's up to 1 day before you're going to harvest that you could actually use that, and then just harvest and rinse, and you're good to go. Grasshoppers are really doing a lot of damage. I had to get serious with the grasshoppers in my garden, but I put my repellent out about 3 weeks ago, and basically, I'd say probably 85% of the grasshoppers just left. They just went away. I've got a few little hoppers here and there, but for the most part, almost all of them just disappeared. And it comes in a granule form. It's made from cedar oil. It smells amazing. I just went up and down the rows and just broadcast it right up and down the rows of the garden, and the bugs just all left. Yeah.
So that's granule rather than a spray?
Yep. It comes in a granule. It does come in a spray also, but the spray can flavor some of your vegetables. And so you got to be a little careful what you spray them, because it's got not just the cedar oil in it, but it has like, it's got like rosemary oil in it. It's got mint, and it's got geranium oil in there too. And so if you spray that on like your tomatoes or your peppers, it can flavor your stuff. And so you got to be a little careful how you use it. It's not toxic. It just changes the taste, and we definitely don't want to change the taste on some of those vegetables. But it's been awesome. I do have a few grasshoppers left in the garden, I have to admit, but not enough that they're really doing a whole lot of damage, so I'm not worrying about it too much. But if they start to get crazy again, I will probably use the 7 and knock some of those guys down. So.
Okay, good to hear. Thank you.
You are so welcome. Thanks for calling this morning, Bruce, and good luck with your garden.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Phone lines are open. 753-5868, 753-KVNU. And Cody, we got another caller already.
Yes, we do. Yeah, I know.
That's great.
We are just rolling in.
That's the way
great.
We like it.
Bud is on the line for
All
you.
right. Good morning. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Good morning, Mark. Thanks for taking the call.
Yeah.
Quick question. We planted a linden tree last fall, and we did wrap the bark. However, during the winter, it did crack.
Split a little bit.
So I just wondered how to remedy that.
Okay. Not uncommon for younger trees to split like that, and in most cases it does happen in the winter time when you've got colder temperatures, and the sap inside the tree will freeze and thaw and expand and contract and split that bark open, and it generally happens on the south or the west side of the tree. But sometimes it can happen just from the trees growing really fast, and there was a lot of quick very aggressive growth that happened last year on a lot of trees, and sometimes they'll just grow so quickly they'll just split, and that's kind of what happens with the tomatoes when they're growing so quickly through the summertime. The shoulders will split and crack as well too. The skin of the tomato just can't expand as fast as the tomato's growing, and so you get these cracks on the tomatoes. So it'll happen to the trees sometimes as well too. So what we recommend is that you look at that wound and put a little bit of pruning sealer in the wound to kind of just lock in the moisture so it doesn't lose more moisture. It'll evaporate through there, and what will happen is the tree will start to create new tissue, and it will cover up that wound. But we want to encourage it to do that. So a little bit of pruning sealer in there, and then wrap it with some tree wrap right in that section where it has split. Maybe go 6 inches, start 6 inches below, and go 6 inches above, and just wrap that up. Leave it wrapped all summer. Take it off this winter. Well, actually, probably around Halloween would be excellent. Take that wrap off, put a little pruning sealer back in there, wrap it back up for the winter. And if you want to cover the whole trunk at that point to prevent any more splitting, that would be a great time to do that. Leave that on until March, take it off, and then inspect that wound again. You might have to do one more treatment, wrap it up again. Usually we'll leave the trees wrapped up for about 1.5 years for them to kind of fix that damage that's happened on the tree.
Okay.
All right. The other thing I would do is prune your tree back just a little bit. So damage on the trunk will cause a disruption of sap flow in the trunk of the tree, so it can't distribute water and nutrient through the whole tree like it could previously. And so you may have to trim some of those branches back a little bit. What I'll usually suggest is go in, take out anything that's dead or damaged or broken, anything that is crossing over or rubbing up against another branch. That's a good part of the tree to remove. Anything that's shooting back into the center of the tree, I'll take that out. So sometimes it's very easy to get in there and just remove some of that excess growth that the tree doesn't really need, and then it will conserve some strength that way, and you won't have other branches just start to die off because of that disruption of sap. So
okay.
All right. And
hey, one other quick question.
Yeah.
We installed a big berm, which we planted some trees on.
Okay.
And it's kind of taller than normal. So what do you recommend as far as preventing erosion, maybe either plants or other product?
That's a great question. Would you like some ground covers or just some flowers, or what are you kind of leaning towards?
Yeah, something more of a perennial, maybe ground cover. I was thinking creeping phlox, but I want something that kind of grows fast and spreads.
Yeah, creeping phlox. Yeah, creeping phlox and rock cress would be excellent. Those are really early bloomers, and they stay low, and they'll spread out over time, and they'll be great for keeping that soil from eroding away. Even if you want some good summer bloomers, you could do some taller things in there as well too. So right now we've got lots of black-eyed Susans and coneflowers and coreopsis, and there's lots of fun stuff that's blooming right now. You could even do some tall phlox, which don't bloom early in the spring; they bloom more midsummer, and they end up getting 16, 18, 24 inches tall, but really gorgeous, bright. Pinks and reds and purple flowers on those. So a lot of good options for perennials in there. And even if your berm is taller, you get a couple trees in there, maybe a couple shrubs, something to give it a little bit of variation in height. And then you could put a whole bunch of perennials in around that, and maybe even bulbs as well too for some early spring color if you'd like.
Okay,
this would be good. You're so welcome. Hey, thanks for calling this morning, and have a great holiday.
You too.
All right, we will. Thank you. All right, looks like we are kind of at the bottom of the hour, Cody.
Yes, we are.
We better take a little break. Just a reminder, Anderson's, we will be open today until 2 o'clock, and then we're closing for the holiday. And then we also are closed on Monday as well, so for the official holiday for the 4th of July. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back again in just a few moments after these messages.
KVNU News Update here at the bottom of the hour. I'm Will Feelright. It's brought to you by Mount Logan Laundry. Well, a stern warning from the Utah Highway Patrol is always expected during the 4th of July holiday. And yes, troopers are reminding drivers about their typical round of concerns, DUI, speed, and distracted driving. But this year, troopers say they want drivers to understand crystal clear that any instances of road rage will not be tolerated. UHP says that they have seen a concerning number of road rage calls involving guns. Just this past week, bullets pierced the cab of a fuel truck near Heber City after the driver of an SUV shot at another driver. Another driver, meanwhile, is facing multiple felony counts of attempted murder for a shooting that occurred on Interstate 15 earlier this year. Jesse Luker, who is 31, is also being sued for $25 million by the men he is accused of shooting following a disagreement over speed in the HOV lane. And in other news, a 37-year-old Maine man has been sentenced to 15 days in jail for running onto Yellowstone National Park's Old Faithful geyser multiple times while wearing a raccoon skin hat and waving an American flag. The Casper Star-Tribune reports the man pleaded guilty this past week to trespassing and was fined $200 and banned from the park for the year. Authorities believe that he ran onto the geyser to attract attention. Prosecutors say that the man would have likely died if he had fell through the thermal feature. Well, looking at hot temperatures to continue over the next few days, as we're going to be in the high 90s during the day. Overnight temperatures are going to stay right around the low 60s with no chance of any precipitation other than a few isolated thunderstorms that we could see here and there, but really no chance of any measurable precipitation possible. I'm Will Feelright for KVNU News.
From ABC Sports. Hi, everybody. I'm Todd Ant. The Tampa Bay Lightning are just one win away from back-to-back Stanley Cup titles after a 6-3 win in Game 3 against the Montreal Canadiens.
The Lightning are about to take a commanding 3-0 lead in the Stanley Cup final. John Merrill in his own end has the puck. We're down to 5 seconds. Merrill, right wing Lehkonen, around the near boards, and this one is over.
The call on WFLA, Tyler Johnson scored back-to-back goals, paving the way for the win and setting up a potential series sweep on Monday night.
Joe made a great play on the first one. Actually, everyone on the ice on a breakout started that whole thing. So, we played well there, and then the second one, Joe was just working really hard and made them kind of cough the puck over.
And in baseball Friday night, Angels' Shohei Ohtani drilled 2 home runs, reaching 30 this season, and then he scored the winning run in the 9th to give L.A. an 8-7 win over the Orioles. This is ABC Sport.
This is Sweetwater Window Cleaning. Now that summer is here, you can reclaim your view back from all that built-up dirt and grime on your windows, letting in light that brightens up the way you feel and makes the whole house seem cleaner. Call us now for the very best results and high-definition views. Mention this ad and we'll remove hard water for free.
Sweetwater Window Cleaning, 3636543, 3636543.
The results are in for the 2021 Best of Northern Utah contest.
Best of Northern Utah.
Brought to you by Thermo Fisher. Pick up your copy of the Winners Magazine. Pickup locations are listed at bestofnorthernutah.com. Over 300,000 votes were cast to determine gold and silver winners in 164 business categories. Help congratulate these businesses and support all of your local businesses. And thank you for participating in the 2021 Best of Northern Utah contest.
The Garden Guide on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.
All right, we are back here at the Garden Guide, and we've been talking, all kinds of different things. Raised beds, and we've been talking vegetables, and all kinds of fun things. So we are just waiting for more phone calls, and the phone lines are open, and you can call in with questions or comments. We'd love to have you join us here on the show. 753-5868, 753-KVNU, and Cody and I are just here just having a great time talking about the holidays, what we're going to do, and smoking some delicious meats and enjoying the holiday season and
summer stuff.
Working outside. Yeah, working outside in the yard. So I went for a bike ride with my wife the other night. We did the Bonneville Shoreline Trail.
That's a good one.
It had been a couple years since I've been. I forgot how evil some
The
of
up and
those
downs
hills are. Oh my gosh, yes.
I hope you did it later in the evening so you didn't die.
It was at like 8 o'clock, 8:30. So
Ooh, okay.
it was not bad.
It's bad.
It was not bad. But I haven't been riding for a couple of years, and so it was a little more difficult.
I would be worried for anybody's health if they were doing it like at 6 or 5 or anything like that.
Yeah, the sun doesn't go down there, but it was not too bad. So it was a little cloudy, so we weren't cooking. But my wife had rented an e-bike, and so she had no problems. Just motored right along.
There you go.
I did not motor nearly as fast, but it still was a good time. We had to take a couple breaks after some of those major climbs.
Yeah.
So, and it's not just a gradual climb; it's like steep, and then it's like flat, and then it's like steep.
My dog loves going on that route.
I'll bet.
Oh yeah.
I'll bet. Maybe we'll just go up the Canyon Trail next time when it's not quite so difficult. But at Anderson's, we are open today until 2 o'clock, and so we'll be closing a little bit early for the holiday at 2 o'clock today. But we've got some great sales going on. So our annual flowers, what we have left in the greenhouse, they are 75% off. And we also have a few vegetables left, and those are 75% off as well too. Just today, just so you can take advantage of the holiday, we're going to put those on sale. And then our perennials, we're doing buy one get one half price today. So if you buy one, you can get your second one for half price. And we have some gorgeous perennials that just came in. Great looking shrubs. I've got some trees that just arrived, and I've got a few more trees coming next week as well too. So I'm excited that we finally found a few more trees to add to our collection for the summer. We were starting to run out of trees. I do have a few apples coming in. If you're looking for some fruit trees, I had some peaches locked up, but we didn't get them. Darn it! But I did get. Let's see, some Golden Delicious, some Fuji, and some Macintosh. So we did get some more apple trees in, but they won't be here till next week. So just remember, they should show up about Wednesday of next week if you're looking for those. And a few more flowering trees. So I got some more crab apples coming. Got some gorgeous flowering cherries that will be here next week as well too, and a few other shade trees also. So it's been crazy this year trying to find plants, so it's been kind of a strange one. So we're excited just to get those in. But phone lines are open. Cody's working on answering a phone call right now, but we've got some more lines open. 753-5868, 753-KVNU if you'd like to call in with questions and comments. And was out in the garden the other day. We did some really good videos, and so we've been posting those on Facebook. So if you're not watching our videos on Facebook, it's a great way to get some good information. I showed a whole bunch of different types of hose for weeding the garden and the benefits and which ones work the best. We showed how to protect your plants from grasshoppers, which is important, very, very important. And we showed the best way to cage your tomatoes, to keep them up off the ground so that they will produce better and they'll ripen up faster, and showed a bunch of different ways to do those things. So you should be watching some of those instructional videos that we have on Facebook. And then we're building our new website, and so we're adding a portion to our existing website that's going to be more informational. So it's going to have better access to all those videos and all those information sheets that we've got, and all podcasts. We'll have all the podcasts, the radio show, and we'll have all those videos as well for you to watch and to enjoy and learn. So it should be pretty good. Looks like we've got another caller, Cody.
Yes, we do. Yeah. We got Deanne.
All right. Good morning, Deanne. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
Thank you so very much. I was just wondering about raspberries.
Yes.
I fertilized mine, and I've got leaves galore, and they're just really sprouting everywhere. But I don't see many little buds of raspberries coming.
What kind of raspberries are they? Do you know what the variety is?
I think they're everberries.
With the everbearing, depending on how you pruned them this past fall or winter, they might not produce a lot in the summer for you, but then they'll kick in and do a whole bunch this fall. And so if you trim them,
maybe I'm impatient.
Yeah, if you trim them down to the ground, you trim them down, aggressively, you won't get that summer crop. But they will produce really heavily for you in the fall. And now's a really good time to fertilize them again to ensure that you have a really good crop. So a higher nitrogen fertilizer, something with little iron, a little bit of sulfur in it. We like Iron Plus from High Yield is great because it's got the iron, the sulfur, and the nitrogen in there. But if you really want a good crop in the summer with your everbearing, this fall, I just kind of just trim out the stuff that's like really, really tall and needs to be, trimmed back, but I just kind of leave them alone. And then in the spring, trim them down to about 3 feet. Don't go shorter, but leave them about 3 feet.
Hey,
Yeah.
I think I trimmed them too far.
A little bit too much, yep. So trim them at about 3 feet, take the tops all off, and then feed them again at that point. So we're talking sometime in March, trim them down to 3 feet, feed them, and then those canes that you leave up, they will bush out and they'll produce a lot of like side shoots, and that's where all your fruit production is going to be in the summertime. And then when those canes are all done producing in July, cut those down to the ground and get rid of them completely, but you'll have all the new shoots that are coming up that are growing like crazy, and those are the ones that will produce in the fall for you. And so,
oh my goodness.
Yeah. So those ones that produce in the fall, they will produce again next year if you do the same thing. So in the early spring, take those and trim those down to 3 feet and take everything else off, feed them again, and then they'll produce next summer for you. And then when they're done producing next summer, then cut those out and let the new ones replace them. Yeah. So we're constantly taking out the old canes and replacing them with the new ones that are coming up. But if you prune those old canes properly, either really late fall or early spring, I prefer to do it in the spring, because if I do it in the fall, then I have to just do it again in the spring, it seems like. Then you'll get that good summer crop.
My goodness, what good advice. Thank you so very,
You are
very
welcome.
much.
You're welcome. So plan on fertilizing like in the spring after you do your initial pruning, and then fertilize them again right after you take those old canes out to get those new shoots really ready for fall, so they'll produce like crazy for you. So usually 2 fertilizations throughout the summer works amazing.
Okay, shall do.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You are so welcome. Anytime, and thanks for calling this morning. Have a wonderful holiday weekend.
Same to you.
You're welcome. All right. Okay, we've got some phone lines open, 753-5868, 753-KVNU, or 1-800-369-5868. And we have about 15 minutes left in the show, so we can take multiple calls.
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Seeing a lot of iron deficiency, so a lot of iron chlorosis in all kinds of plants, and aggravated by us having to water excessively since it's been so dry and hot, and also aggravated by drought conditions, and so that can cause problems that way as well too. And we've seen a lot of trees that have really had a lot of damage through the winter time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not from cold damage; they just were dry throughout the winter, and so. We've seen trees that have started to leaf out and then just kind of shriveled up afterwards, and they October, November, December, January, February were all really dry, and so we didn't have a whole lot of moisture in the ground, and so the trees had to use up a lot of their excess strength, and they didn't really have a lot of strength to leaf out this spring. So a lot of trees are looking kind of sparse, like just not as many leaves as usual, and it has a lot to do with not the cold weather, because it was kind of a mild winter, but just the dry winter that we had really affected those trees. So if you've got some trees or shrubs that are really struggling and having a hard time, we don't want to overwater them, but we want to make sure they have good consistent watering. So what I've been recommending to a lot of gardeners and homeowners is that we do a deep watering on a lot of those trees once every 2 or 3 weeks or so. So just take a hose, turn a little trickle on the hose, and just put it in 3 or 4 different locations around the tree on the ground, and just kind of let that just gradually soak deeper into the soil. And but don't do it too frequently. Just once every 2 or 3 weeks will be adequate. I've got a lot of trees in our backyard that are on a south-facing slope. We live just below the university, and south-facing slope, so they get a lot of intense sun, and it's very rocky, really, really gravelly type soil. And I only water them once every 3 weeks, but I'll give them a good deep watering and just let them go after that. And they are doing amazingly well. But at that same time, it's a good time to try and encourage some root development and really get the root systems healthy and growing like crazy. So a product like Kangaroots would be excellent. Tree Feast, which is made locally right here, a great product for feeding trees and shrubs. It gives them a nice slow-release nitrogen, a lot of micronutrients to help encourage a little bit of growth, but not so much nitrogen that they grow crazy. So this is a good time to try and correct some of those iron chlorosis problems with combo chelate or a chelated iron, in addition to a little bit of fertilizer and a little something to focus on the root system as well, too. So, Cody, looks like we've got another caller. So,
yes, we do have a caller, and this time I promise not to hang up on him. This is Gordon.
All right. Good morning, Gordon. Welcome to the Garden Guide.
How we doing? Hey,
doing excellent.
Easy to hit that wrong button, so
it happens all the time. All the time.
Yep. Hey, I wanted to just call and report on a couple of my favorite products from your store. As always, the cedar granules are doing an amazing job of keeping the mosquitoes at bay.
That is so great. It has been
oh my gosh,
successful in my garden to get the grasshoppers to leave too. So.
Well, and I hadn't thought about the grasshoppers. Maybe I'll put some in by my roses.
It works. It works great, Gordon. So I had like little baby grasshoppers like all over the place, and they were starting to lace my potatoes. And so for some reason, they love the potato leaves. And so I'm like, all right, I better get these guys under control. So 3 weeks ago, I put the cedar granules out, and I mean, it didn't stop 100% of them, but there's probably maybe 10% of what we had. And so I can deal with a few grasshoppers, but they're not just like eating everything to pieces anymore. And it's time to do another application. I usually hit it about the 10th or 15th of June, and then around the 4th of July. So it's time for another shot. So I'm glad it's working on our mosquitoes.
I used the bag that I found, and then I started to see them again, and then I found a bag that I'd bought last year and didn't use, and so I went heavy on everything, and we haven't seen a mosquito.
Oh, that's great. That is wonderful. Does a really, really great job on the mosquitoes, but also on all kinds of other insects as well, except aphids.
Yeah.
It did not help with the aphids on my kohlrabi, darn it. I had to get out the spinosad soap and spray those. So, but the spinosad soap's awesome too. It's so safe and very, very effective on all kinds of insects. So.
Oh, speaking of which, should we be spraying for codling moth right now?
Our second spray, that's great. I'm glad you reminded me. Second spray is this coming week. So the university said between the 7th and the 14th is going to, well, actually a little bit longer than that, is going to be like the next heavy hatch on the codling moth. So your next application should be going on like right now.
Well, in my case, my first application, but it will be going on this week.
So second hatch is happening this week. I think they said the 7th through the 9th or 10th is like right when it's going to start. And so, yes, this is the week to get a cover application spray on there. So.
Okay. I found my bottle of spinosad and thought, I'm probably behind the game here.
Yep. The spinosad would be excellent. Spinosad soap would be excellent. 7 is got a little bit longer residual, so 18 to 20 days between applications. Fruit tree spray from Fertilome, also a natural organic option. That's about every 2 weeks. And those are, those are kind of your choices. So you've got some really good ones out there, some longer lasting ones. I like Assail. The Assail lasts 21 days. It's very, very safe for people to use, but very effective on the insects. But it only comes in like a container that makes like 1,200 gallons. So. It's like it's like $300 and it'll make 1,200 gallons, but it's like one of the best products out there. So as soon as that came available on the market, we decided it was okay for us to go out and spray trees for people. So at Logan Extermination, I would not go out and spray fruit trees for people because I didn't like the options that were out there for my applicators. It just was not safe for them. But as soon as Assail became available and Alticor, we use those two products. Very, 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 very low toxicity for people, especially for the applicators, and very, very effective effective on the insects, and we only have to spray like once a month. And so it really does a great job.
Yeah, and where you're doing a whole bunch, that works out then.
Oh
the
yeah,
amount that you need.
The safety factor was the number one deciding in that. But we're out doing a lot of spraying. I'm sure we could add a few more people, but we've probably got more fruit tree customers this year than we've ever had before. So the guys are super busy doing fruit trees.
Well, good.
So
good. The other product that I have fallen in love with is the Hydratane.
Yes, isn't that amazing?
We're all being so careful with the watering and whatnot, and I put that down, and I'm down to less than once a week on my front lawn, and the morning glory's keeping it really green, but it's still pretty green.
So that's what we were really shooting for this year is, the lawn doesn't have to be perfectly green, and we're getting to the point where, a lot of our communities are really cutting back on how much water they're using because their tanks are low, or, their springs just aren't filling them up fast enough. And so if you want to be able to water once a week, but keep your lawn still looking relatively green. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's going to keep it from going completely dormant. The Hydratane is amazing. It really is.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I like the Aqueduct, but the Hydratane works better than the Aqueduct.
It lasts longer. Yeah. So the Hydratane will last 90 days. And so you put it on now, it's going to last until October. And if you've been watering 3 times a week, you could cut it back to once a week instead, and you'll have a little bit of yellowing in your lawn, but it won't go completely dormant. It'll stay growing through the summertime, which is really what we want. We want to keep it looking good. But you can use it in your flower beds. You can use it in your vegetable garden. I mean, it's safe to use in all the edibles as well too, and it makes your soil so it absorbs and holds and retains that moisture so much longer, and so you're going to be more effective with your waterings, and you just don't have to water as much to keep them looking good.
Well, I hadn't even thought about doing it under my roses and whatnot.
Oh,
but,
yeah. I'll do the same thing.
Slip in for another bag this week.
Yeah. I've only got the small bags right now. I'm hoping to get some more 15-pounders in the near future, but I do have the liquid. So I've got the liquid in stock right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, those are two. The granules have been. Cedar's been my favorite for years, but boy,
the Hydratane.
I fell in love with Hydratane, and I have to keep telling everybody I'm only watering less than once a week. I'm not soaking it down at night when nobody's looking. It just is working.
It does. It really does work. So awesome. Glad to hear it, Gordon.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go so you can talk to somebody else.
Have a wonderful holiday weekend.
Okay, you too. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you. All right, Cody, we got time for one more caller.
Yep, we got Gary on the line. Here's Gary.
Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Mark. This might be a funny question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. On our flowering pots, I've been using the Fruit of the Loom water-soluble plant food, the 20-20-20.
Right.
Okay, you put 1 teaspoon per gallon of water. Now, if I go out and put that all on one pot, it's got the whole teaspoon, but if I put it on 10 pots, it's got 1/10 of it. Do you adjust for anything like that, or just... You see where I'm trying?
I do. It's not a bad question. It's not a bad question. And so what we usually recommend is that fertilizer is absorbed up through the root system as well as in through the leaves. And so we recommend, depending on how big your planters are, or how big your plants are, to just water them enough that you can saturate the soil completely all the way through. But we get it on the leaves as well too. Let them pick it up through the leaves. And so depending on the size of the plant and the size of the root system, that depends on how much water you use on there. And like you said, if you're diluting a tablespoon per gallon, you give one plant the whole gallon, and other plants you do a tenth of a gallon on each one. Proportionally, it's enough water to saturate the soil around the root system and get a little bit on the plant as well too, and that will be adequate for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was kind of wondering that same thing like calcium for tomatoes. If you put so much water in the what do you do? Do you add more calcium, or do you just for 1
Yeah.
Tomato plant or
and just do it a little bit more. Yeah, do a little bit more frequently. So with those water soluble or liquid fertilizers, they're used up very quickly by the plants. And so, most of the time, if it's in a hanging basket or a planter, we recommend you do it twice a week. If it's in your garden, once every week or 10 days is more than adequate because it sticks around longer. Yeah, it doesn't drain out the bottom, and so you don't have to do it quite as frequently. But for the most part, you want to be consistent with those once a week, twice a week. Just be consistent with them, and they'll work great for you.
I see what you're saying. Just the how often you do it absorbs how much to use.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks so much. Thanks so much for calling, Gary. Have a good one.
Okay. Thank you. You too.
We are at the bottom of the show already. Holy smoke. Just gone, just like that, Cody.
Just like that.
Okay, don't forget, Cody, we're closing at 2 o'clock, so you can go fishing.
I won't.
All right. And we're closing on Monday, so you can definitely go fishing on Monday. And I know you had plans to go somewhere, so.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Go have fun, everybody.
Sounds good.
Seriously.
Yep, that's the plan. If fun could be working in your garden, could be playing with your kids, bike ride, fireworks, whatever it is you want to do, get out there and have a great time this weekend. At Anderson's, we're closed on Monday. We'll be closing today at 2 o'clock. We've got some sales and some specials going on, and we're there to help you solve problems. So come see us at Anderson Seed and Garden. Have a wonderful weekend and a great, safe holiday, and we'll see you all next week.
The station for news and talk. KVNU Logan, 610 AM and 102.1 FM.